Hey everyone, as you know, my Raptor has been ordered. And in the meantime, I figured I'd discuss some important Raptor topics. First being, I was speaking to my friend that's a senior Ford mechanic a few weeks ago, and he had mentioned to me that they had gotten an SSM, which is a special service message, sort of a prequel to an upcoming TSB for the second gen Raptors. This is in regards to the cam phasers. Now, on the early trucks, it was known that they were having some issues with the cam phasers, the timing for the cam phasers. They weren't locking correctly. So he really didn't have a lot of information for me, but he said that they heard about it and that they expect to have the TSB out by the end of the year, but the SSM is basically kind of like a heads up to the dealers that it's coming. I was a little concerned about this because I didn't know if my truck would be affected, because typically engines can be built a month or two ahead of time before the actual truck gets built, because they're basically sitting in the factory ready to go as they build the vehicles. So I spoke to my salesman about it because I was a little concerned. I don't want a brand new vehicle coming in with a TSB with a problem that has to get fixed, because that does happen. So he directed me to the sales advisor at that dealership that handles all Ford trucks. So I gave him a phone call. I spoke to him about it. And he said that the newer trucks have an updated cam phaser in them, that this doesn't affect them. It's affecting 17 and 18 Raptors with the twin turbo V6, which is obviously the only engine available. So the cam phasers are not locking correctly on the earlier trucks. So the TSB is not out yet, but it's something for people to just kind of be aware of and just kind of keep an eye out for. Now, he said you can't just have them replaced just whenever you want. It actually has to be displaying some sort of symptom of the cam phaser failing or not working correctly. So, but like I said, it's not officially out yet, but just keep an eye on it with your local dealer. They'll be able to tell you when it is officially out, and if you're having a problem, then you can start the process of possibly getting them replaced. The only thing I don't like about it is it's a fairly invasive process. They typically do take the cab off the truck to do it because it's much easier to access. That's what my buddy was showing me, that's what they typically do, because it's actually fairly easy to take the cabs off, and then they'll take the front of the motor part to get the cam phasers out. But I'm just giving everybody a heads up, if you're an early second-gen Raptor owner and you're starting to have problems, a TSB supposedly is coming probably by the end of the year, give or take. But just give your local dealership a call about that and just kind of see what's going on. Obviously, I don't have any TSB numbers or anything like that yet. It's too early, too preliminary. And then as far as what's going on with the future Raptors, now there's really been no talk about third generation, nothing concrete yet. We don't know when it's coming, what it's going to look like, what's going to have in it. Nobody really knows yet. It's way too early. Everybody's speculating about the V8 stuff. Every year it comes back, a V8's coming back, a V8's coming back every year after year after year. We keep hearing it. Whatever. I don't know if it's going to happen. I wouldn't hang my hat on that, but hey, anything's possible. About a week ago, a couple of automotive media outlets showed some spy photos of a second-gen Raptor, and it had like rubber mats around the rear suspension to hide it from photographers. Now, there really weren't any great photos of it. They were able to show the mats around it, but you couldn't really see what was underneath it. If you look closely in the photos, which I will post links in the description below to these articles so you can look at the photos yourself and read the descriptions and the links, you can still see a live axle on the back of the truck, but you can't see the actual suspension setup. So what they're thinking they're doing is Ford is going to change the Raptor from a leaf spring rear suspension to a multi-link rear suspension. The exact setup obviously is unknown at this point. Now they're saying that this is going to be this is a 2021 prototype. Whether or not this comes out in 2021 is another debate, because it's no secret that the second gen Raptor is kind of nearing the end of its lifespan, and a third gen will probably be coming within the next couple of years. And to completely change out the rear suspension like that, that's a pretty big change, and I don't know if Ford's going to want to do that with like one model year. This is 2021, probably the last model year for the second gen Raptor. I don't know if they're going to go through that whole process of changing everything for one model year. So I think maybe that could be testing for possibly third generation. No one's said that yet. Again, I'm totally guessing at this point. I just kind of find it a little odd that they would completely revamp the rear suspension like that for one model year. But it's definitely possible, but that seems like a lot to do for that. So I think that's more something we're going to see in third generation. They also noted in the pictures, there was no videos of this truck, it was just still pictures. It still had the distinctive twin turbo EcoBoost V6 exhaust note, so it didn't have a V8 in it, and it had smaller rear exhaust tips, which was they're speculating to help with the approach angle of the truck to improve it a little bit, because typically the tips would typically scrape on extreme approach angles. So that's, again, that's another thing that's kind of an interesting thing to see. They're doing something's going on, but we just don't know yet. So I think this is a lot of the changes we'll definitely see for third generation. I just wouldn't hold your breath for second gen, being that this is sort of at the end now. And then as far as what's going on with my truck, well, originally I spoke to the dealer. He was telling me probably January is a realistic time frame to get your truck by, maybe December, but that was a big maybe. So called me up the other day because they got their allotments very early. Because like I said in some of my other videos, they're one of the top rated Ford dealerships in the country. They got their allotments very early. So he called me back and he said, your truck's been scheduled, here's your VIN. And he sent me a screenshot of all the information on it. My truck is scheduled to be built the first week of production for the 2020s in Dearborn. Now, part of the reason I was thinking why they were also going to come late is because my father ordered a regular F-150, he ordered a Lariat, and his is coming out of Kansas City. Now, Kansas City, what I found, is almost a month behind the Dearborn schedule. Dearborn will start the 2020s on October 7th, and my truck is scheduled to be built that week, that first week of production for 2020. Kansas City is not scheduled to start the 2020s until November 4th. So they're almost a month behind Dearborn, Kansas City. So that's one of the reasons why this is coming this is going to end up probably coming almost 2 months earlier than what I expected. Because if they build it in early October, I will probably get it, I might even get it late October. I wouldn't be completely surprised. But I'm going to err on the safe side and say probably early November I'll probably get the truck, when I wasn't expecting to get it till realistically late December, early January. So the truck is going to come much earlier than anticipated, since I am scheduled in that, like I said, that first week of production for 2020. So I'm pretty happy I'm going to be getting the truck pretty early now. I'll have it definitely before the winter hits. So if I need to use the truck for four-wheel drive or whatnot to get around, I'll have it now. And then once the truck comes in, I'm going to start doing all kinds of videos with it, just talking about my experience with it, talk about all the different options, the packages, and be able to show the stuff in person and explain it in a lot more depth. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully within probably about 6 weeks or so, my truck should be sitting in the garage here. So hope you've enjoyed the video so far. Thanks for watching.